Welcome to the introduction video. I want to start off just talking about who I am because I noticed that I didn't do that for neither of the school communities nor in YouTube. One of the very first websites I created was this one, which I found in the Wayback Machine. It was a website about everything. I was 12 years old. I didn't understand about niching down. So the title of the website is actually Of Everything About Everything. I even had this toolbar, which was something that you installed into the browser, and then you could easily access these other pages, lot sales, DVDs, the 7 Wonders, travel, downloads. And this is really just to get to the point where I love building things. You'll see along the way, you'll see in my live builds that I really enjoy building things. I love to envision a tool, a feature, or an automation that I can build that gains more time for myself or for others. Really just seeing the amusement in the face of someone using my tool gets me really hyped up. And I promise you that you will get to build your own tool and experience that feeling as well. Eventually, I got into computer engineering as well as graphics design, and I had everything it took to create something, but I didn't have a niche. And that's really important, or else you'll just be building things either for other developers, or you won't exactly understand the pain point of a market. And I believe for the majority of people, they have the opposite problem that I had. I knew how to build things, I just didn't know which niche to use. For the majority of people, they have a niche, either finance, either content creation, health, fitness, but they lack coding. They lack understanding how to actually build that tool or what to use to build that. The good news is that today there's a lot of AI tools that allows you to build a lot of different things. I won't say anything, but it's almost anything. You won't have to build things like I did inside of Wet Paint, where it conditions you to create specific things with specific structures. You will actually be able to just type what you want and it will create everything for you. I just recently built this example right here where I said, create an interactive web application for the AI Forge using HTML. So there's a huge prompt in here. But the thing is, just with this prompt, and I did prompt some things after that, but it was just like minor changes, it managed to create a pretty interesting tool. And this isn't the final tool. This isn't the actual application that you're going to sell people. Maybe this will serve as a magnet lead or something like that. Throughout the community, what I really want to get to is actually building entire applications. For now, you might be able to create only these type of tools, but this is already a huge deal. So just moving on to some things that I've built, there is the cataloger. So it was a cataloging system for Forex trading. This is a project that I managed to get up to 1,000 monthly subscribers. The only reminder I have from it are all these emails right here. You can see these are payments. This was a product that went from $20 all the way to $60. The reason I closed this project entirely is because it was related to probabilistic analysis. Back at the time, it did make sense to have this tool because it could actually predict times of the day where you would have a green candlestick. But eventually these brokers discovered those times and then they reduced the payout for those times. So you wouldn't profit out of them. A lot of my competitors did continue, but it's just not in me to sell something that I myself wouldn't buy. So eventually, to make long story short, I participated in a lot of different projects. This one is related to finance as well. It's from Brazil. I believe it has about 60,000 monthly visits. This one is a project that I built by myself. It does a fairly large amount of scraping, and I did this before AI really became a thing. Then I also worked in Mendable. It's a startup company from the Y Combinator, which eventually created Firecrawl. This was a company that I got to create some side projects for them, and it was really interesting because they have a lot of contacts inside the AI industry, like LangChain, like the people over at Cohere. 11 Labs, for example, is another one, or Vapi, that became a pretty popular company. Back then I got to meet their CEO and it was a really fantastic opportunity. This is another website that I got to manage. It has currently up to 400,000 monthly visits. And then yeah, we can go on talking about a lot more websites because I do have even more than 100 repositories in my GitHub, and that could be good, could be bad. It just means that a lot of projects I do start, but then I stop along the way. So enough chit chat. Let's get to why should I care? Who can create an AI automation? When should I start? What can I create? How do I get started? Starting off with the why, I guess that a pretty interesting thing to look at is how AI automation as a term found on Google has increased along the years. This is absolutely massive. And if unfortunately you're a pessimist, you might be looking at this and thinking, okay, it went all the way up there, so now the only way for it to go is down. I've lost the trend. There's no more space for me in the market. And that couldn't be farther away from the truth. Let's look at the app development space, for example. This is what happened all the way since 2007, I suppose, which was when Steve Jobs launched the Apple phone with access to app development, and then it started to grow, right? Another term we can search for is mobile app. Imagine someone being pessimist at this point right here. Let's imagine them looking at this graph years later to realize that it was just starting. That's what I'm telling you right now. This just started. This actually just started. It is a huge market to be explored. Now, when should you start? Because either you're thinking, okay, it's too early for me to create this, I don't have enough information. Either you're thinking, okay, I'm too late because of this trend right here. I want to try to clarify which position where you're at right now in the market. So if you're seeing this in 2025, I'd say that this is happening right now. This orange circle right here is all the opportunity that exists. The majority of people want to create easy things, so they are just grabbing this piece of the market. Why so? Because they buy into the idea of no code. I'm not telling you to become a developer or anything. I'm just telling you that if you learn basic coding concepts, you'll have access to this entire market right here that a lot of people try to avoid because they are afraid of coding. If you can better instruct an AI assistant that you want a JSON and you actually know what to do with that JSON, since it's a structured way for you to inform your backend or your front end or just communicate between servers, then you could create a lot more. Do you agree with me on this? Because the way I see it today, there's a lot of people creating those AI automation faceless YouTube videos, and they suck. They are absolutely bad. There's an AI voice reading a poorly written script. The script was poorly prompted. Sometimes the person using those voice doesn't even have the copyright to use those voice, and then they get their channel taken down. There's a lot of this happening right now in the market. There's a lot of people creating really crappy things, and that's where you get the constant LinkedIn posts saying about, hey, this app built with AI is completely terrible, or this video produced with AI is really bad. That's because it's being created by these people right here that wants things really easy, and they don't want to worry about learning just a bit more to actually create something valuable and give value for people in a way that they want to pay you for that value. So yeah, I drew this chart over here, but it's basically the same thing. And I really just got ahead of myself because that is about the who. So everyone can create this, just not everyone will actually make money or actually get to the part where they actually automate something valuable. They will just go after the fast, easy, and free option. So another example is just using local LLMs. A lot of people say, hey, I want to use a free LLM, so I downloaded this LLM to use it in my computer. Stop doing that. You will literally waste cents to create something pretty awesome. Just because you have the idea where you're going to spend by using that LLM, don't be afraid of hooking up your account inside of OpenAI, for example. They're not going to waste all your tokens. They're only going to waste what's in there. So if you place $5, the maximum that you can lose are those $5. Yes, there's a lot of systems that you will input your card and then they will charge you for everything that's being used. If you're unsure, just don't do that. It's really simple. Moving back to the when, the point where when and the who comes in is that at this current moment, if you're just focused on this, then you have to start right now. Then this gap where it's really easy for you to make some amount of money, because some people do manage to create really shitty things and manage to get people to pay for those shitty things. Well, you should get started right away. But if you're not in that situation, you have some time, you have some months, or maybe even a year to prepare and actually get to a point where you're creating something valuable using AI. Now, moving on to the how you will create these things, there's a lot of people that will get stuck using only one of these versions. They're either going to create everything inside of Claude, they're either going to create everything inside of NAN, or they're going to only use 11 Labs or Lovable. The key is not to choose one specific thing, but to know what all these tools does, to know what you need for your specific idea, and then create from there on. Use all the tools you have available. I really incentivize you that you have to use these tools. Even for you to create an AI automation for yourself, you need to understand how these AI assistants deal with prompting. You need to know what is the standard, what do people expect, so you have to use these tools. And along the course, I will talk about what each of them is special on. So Claude would be the go-to for coding. Gemini, at least for now, is really generic. You can create a lot of things with it. It's really getting improved. Like attention with Gemini, this is really blowing up. ChatGPT, I would only focus on generating images for now. Grok is pretty generic, similar to Gemini, but Gemini is is really taking the edge on this. Then you can move on to no-code tools like NaN, Zapier, or Lovable. NaN and Zapier are more for constructing a workflow, so this is the back end of the application. Lovable is more for the front end and what your user are actually going to see, are actually going to interact with. And then we move down to AI tools like ElevenLabs and Firecrawl. These are shovels inside of the AI industry, and you should use them. So instead of you creating your own, like replicating your voice, studying how to create an LLM and all that, just use ElevenLabs. You can just simply go over to ElevenLabs, replicate your voice, use an API from ElevenLabs, and that's where basic coding concepts comes in, because the majority of people will try to avoid these terms like API or endpoints or something like that. But you'll be using ElevenLabs to replicate your voice and create an AI voice assistant. I have created a conversational AI assistant using ElevenLabs in this classroom right here. I would recommend that you check it out for you to have an idea of what is a conversational AI assistant. But again, if you really want to take advantage of this, you should learn some basic coding concepts. And please let me know whenever you get stuck in coding something, in asking the AI to code something. The majority of time you won't actually need to go there and type and really code things. But if you know those concepts, you can just tell them to Gemini, to Claude, to ChatGPT, and ask them, hey, produce a script that creates an array of objects, and inside these array of objects there should be this and that parameter, API, webhooks, data structures, LLM, RAG, SQL queries. You can create a whole lot of things just by knowing these basic things, and I assure you this is really not hard. If it is hard for you at some point, just let me know. I can help. I'll try to be as available as possible. If you're really not wrapping your head around some of these concepts, then send me a message. We can try to figure it out until you really understand it. Even if I have to hop on a call with you and we go through each step of building whatever you need to build. That is it for this not so short introduction video. Please leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then.